Brodes Media.
What a wild one. What a wild one. Before we hop into it, if you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button and also hit that like button too. It means the world to me. Thank you all so much for the support. And also every Wednesday, we run a Hump Day giveaway on my Twitter at Brodes81. We're giving away a Joel Embiid jersey. It's a no-brainer. Head to Twitter at Brodes81, pinned up top. You'll see the rules. Make sure you are engaged and make sure you continue to stay engaged because more beautiful prizes are up for grabs every single Wednesday. Thank you all so much and enjoy the show. Wow, okay, a lot to unpack here as the Sixers lose Game 4. The series is now 3-1, heading back to Philadelphia. The Wells Fargo Center is going to be electric. I'm not too worried about this series, and yes, we need to wait for more information on Joel Embiid. When he went down, it did not look good. He was holding his back, his hip area. He went back. He did not return. Is that more precautionary, more so than it is a serious injury? We will have to wait to gather more data about it. So the referees were trash. Ben Simmons' free throws were a problem, as I alluded to after Game 1, although that's unfair because he had 15 assists, he played great defense, and he had 15 rebounds. All of it's true. I tried stressing this to everyone after Game 1. He was magnificent. The Sixers did win a game, and ultimately that's what mattered. He also was running away from the basketball late in the game because he did not want to get fouled because he was 0 for 6 from the free throw line, and that could potentially come back to bite the Sixers in the ass later on in this playoff series and later on against better talent. What do you know? Here comes Hackeben, and that definitely played a role in losing this game. So he was in foul trouble with 4 personal fouls seconds into the second half. And the refs were bonkers, and they were smoking crack before anything even started, and it was not a good day at the office for anyone involved with calling fouls and whatnot. With all of that, with all the circumstances, without Joel Embiid, you were in a close game because of Tyrese Maxey making big shots and bringing it defensively right at the other end as well on Russell Westbrook, which was amazing. You had Furkan Korkmaz, of all people, stepping in there and making some shots. Your bench, your younger cats kept you involved, and you had an opportunity to shut the door, and the Hackeben came into play. So don't tell me that I'm not allowed to criticize or analyze any part of his game just because he's very special in other areas. And I hate it. I hate it that I'm pissed off more with Doc Rivers now for what he said post-game because he's getting what he wants. He wants the attention off of Ben. He's going to have Ben's back, and that's fine. I'm okay with having Ben's back. But don't act like we're stupid people who are telling you to not play Ben Simmons at all. He actually said that. What, do you want me not to play him at all? Then I'll question your basketball knowledge. Or if you understand the game of basketball. Doc, no one is saying that Ben Simmons should never be on the floor at all because he can't make his free throws. I'm asking my all-star player, my primary ball handler, to not be an issue in late games where the stinking Washington Wizards sneak away with the win that they were going to piss away to back end of the bench role players. I'm asking that individual to not go 1 of 2. He had the audacity. We're going to play the cut, and we're also going to read some of his quotes. Okay, he had the audacity to say that he would take 1 point every time he goes down the floor. But guess what, Doc? Then you'll have a lot of losing basketball if that's the case. Here's your quote. Analytically, if you split all those free throws, you'll take a point per possession. He did that. I had no issues with it. Dumb, stupid, embarrassing comment. Okay, you guys keep this Ben Simmons narrative alive, which to me is freaking insane. Ben creates scoring for us. That's what he does. If I'm Ben at some point, I'd get tired of it. I just would because he's just too good and does so many other things for this basketball team. I keep saying, celebrate him. Celebrate all the stuff he does well. That's not the case here, Doc. We're not just ripping him apart and saying he does nothing. Are you crazy? And then he said, oh, everyone wants Ben Simmons to score 40 points. No one's talking about Ben Simmons scoring 40 points. We're asking him to knock down his free throws. What else was there? with Ben, we're going to keep him on the floor unless you guys want to just bench him the whole game. Shut up! Shut up! Now, here's more. Here's the audio of him with his feistiness.
Again, with Ben, we're going to keep him on the floor. Unless you guys want us to bench him the whole game. If anybody wants us to do that, just let me know. And then I'll know you don't know basketball.
Okay, Doc, let me know when we're asking to bench Ben Simmons for the rest of the entire game. I thought Kevin Kincaid of Crossing Broad asked a phenomenal question. D. Lynham was going back and forth, and I thought it was great because Amy Fadul on the postgame show was with Jim Lynham, her father, and she was going back and forth. Doc, you're not looking at this the right way. And we know he's not just going to throw Ben Simmons under the bus, right? That's inevitable. Nobody's asking for Doc Rivers to just shred Ben Simmons in a post-game press conference. But don't act like these aren't fair questions. Don't act like we're demanding Ben Simmons to score 40 points. And don't act like we're asking you to bench Ben Simmons forever. He's a problem. He's a problem in late game situations. So yes, asking you about that is fair. This is not the Clippers anymore, Doc. You're on the East Coast again. You're in a big market city, and we're going to care, and we're going to talk about Ben Simmons every fucking day because it deserves to be discussed. All right, Ben was a problem today. He hasn't been that much of a problem in the first 3 games, except for when he was running away in game 1 because he did not want to get fouled. So I'm sure other teams are going to look at the Scott Brook experience and recognize that there's something they can do to the Sixers in late games. And it's on Ben to then drill them. And if he's not going to, it's on Doc to do something better than analytically. Let's take the 1 point. You're going to lose. How do I know that? Because you just lost to a Wizards team that just had this occur. Like, it just occurred. You just lost to a Wizards team when they did this. And here's your flow of these free throws. Ben Simmons goes 1 of 2. Bradley Beal makes a tough jump shot to take a 1-point lead. Ben Simmons, 1 of 2. Slam dunk for the Wizards, 2-point lead. Ben Simmons, 1 of 2. Then Russell Westbrook ends up settling for a jump shot way outside the paint, I should say. It was a 2-point shot. It was a mid-range jumper. And he was 3 of 19. He was a disaster shooting the ball. He got a lot of points from the charity stripe. And yes, there were some brutal calls, some bad refereeing involved, but that doesn't change the fact that there was a chance for the Sixers team late. I don't think this was the case because I don't know if Russell Westbrook is that smart of a player to think this far ahead, but I was surprised that he didn't attack Ben Simmons in that moment. It was really bonkers to me. Was Russell Westbrook thinking that, well, Ben Simmons has 5 fouls, and this is telling you, if this is the case, I don't know if it is, but it is possible that Russell Westbrook recognized that Ben Simmons had 5 fouls. Instead of attacking and fouling him out, they'd rather have Ben Simmons in the game than Ben Simmons fouling out because he doesn't make his free throws. Now, of course, with under 2 minutes, that plays a role compared to above 2 minutes with more than 2 minutes left when it comes to automatically fouling someone off the ball and things of that nature. I don't know if Russell Westbrook thought of that, but guess what? I know I would have been. And as soon as he took that jumper, that's the first thing that clicked into my head. I would want Ben Simmons out there because he's an issue, and he's helping us stay into this game. And then Ben ends up hitting 1 of 2 when he got that hard foul that I thought was going to be a flagrant, but it ended up being a common. I've seen so much worse or so much softer or whatever way I should explain it. I've seen other things that look worse than that and not as worse as that, not as bad as that, get caught a flagrant foul. I think you know what I'm trying to say here. But damn, yeah, the Doc thing pissed me off because it's just asinine to have those type of statements. And I know what he's trying to do, and it's working. And that's what makes it upset me even more because I know he's getting what he wants, and that's to take all the eyeballs, as many eyeballs as he possibly can off of Ben Simmons. But I just try telling everybody this, right? You can easily look at everything Ben Simmons has done to this point and recognize the greatness and see that he is such a powerful player that changes the outcomes of games when he plays defense, when he facilitates. But with all of that, the most crucial part of a basketball game is the late minutes, the bigger possessions with just a handful to go. Whether it's a close game or there's a little bit of comfort, maybe 7 points instead of 2, regardless of the scenario, if your primary ball handler can't keep the ball in his hands or can't get to the charity stripe because he's not hitting the shots, that is a serious issue. So when he goes out in game 5 and the team wins by 20-something, this still matters. This is still conversational. If anything, it only adds more context to it because when you play better opponents, it'll probably show its ugly head even more because the games are going to be closer. The games are going to be more of a battle. The possessions are going to mean more. There's better talent on the other side. I mean, it's crazy not to see this. And this doesn't mean that you don't enjoy Ben Simmons. I fucking love Ben Simmons. I am amazed when he touches the ball and he's facilitating and finding his teammates and defending and all of that. I watched him one-on-one with Bradley Beal at one point where he stayed with Bradley Beal so much that Bradley Beal, who was trying to break down Ben, was on ice skates. He's a magician defensively. All of this is true, and it doesn't mean you hate Ben. It doesn't mean that you're a Ben Simmons stan. It's okay to analyze it as it is. There's a lot of positives, and there's a major negative. All of it matters, and we're in year 4, and somehow I still need to describe it to everyone how this all matters. It's crazy. Unbelievable. Seth Curry, by the way, had a pretty quiet, hideous game, falling under the radar after the Embiid injury, the Ben stuff, the Doc stuff, the ref stuff. He was a team high in minus, and he was 0 for 4 from 3. He did have 5 field goals made, though, all 2-pointers. He was 5 of 11 from the field, but not his strongest from 3. There was a moment in that game, though, where you just felt maybe they lost their chance. Furkan had a 3. Danny Green got a rebound. You're fighting for the ball on the floor, and it ends up becoming a major jam on the other side where the Capital One Arena exploded, and you thought, damn, that was the chance. If the Sixers could find a possession to knock down a shot, it would have been that one, and they came up with a couple shots that were just a little bit too long. There was a corner 3 involved. There was the Furkan 3 involved, and you just thought, damn, there would have been a good shot, a good chance to kind of punch them when you need to. All throughout the game, though, was clunky offense. It was clunky flow of the game. And it's tough. It's tough when you lose the big man. I'm not insanely worried just based off of my gut feel. Something tells me this is more just precautionary. Let's not force him. We're up 3-0 in the series. We go back home to the Wells Fargo Center. We'll have a couple of days off. He's going to be sore. There's going to be bumps and bruises. The knee did kind of bend in a weird way when he went back, when he got blocked. I don't think it's going to be anything wild. He's going to have to battle through it. It's going to be probably discomforting, and he's going to have some pain here and there. But welcome to the playoffs. You got to be tough in the playoff. Things are going to happen. You're going to be bruised up. You're going to be banged up. You got to play through the pain and go out there and make it happen. So we don't know. We don't have any sort of information right now. I'm just basing this off of my gut and what played out and how it all transpired. He got up. He went to the bench, and then he ended up going to the locker room afterwards. I'm sure it's just something where it's going to be lingering. And that's even more so the reason why it sucks you couldn't end it tonight. If you end it tonight, you even get more rest if the Knicks win on their game, game 5 at the Madison Square Garden. That would even prolong that series even more, and this game could have given Joel Embiid more of a time to kick back, relax, get massaged, roll out, ice baths, you name it, whatever he needs. But now they have to go to work again at the Wells Fargo Center. I don't envision it going much longer than that, though, much farther than that. That would just be crazy. But you got to come ready to play. You have some players here that can step up in bigger moments. Good for Tyrese Maxey. I mean, he really is making a name for himself. He was 6 of 12 from the field. He had a steal. He had a block. He had a handful of points. He had a desperation 3. It was crazy. This game was wild if you really think about everything that kind of happened from the from the Tyrese Maxey nonsense where he was going off to Furkan shots. Earlier in the game, you have Matisse Thybulle making buckets as well and draining some shots out from distance. So it was like, what is going on here? You know, it's a crazy night when those three players are sort of your takeaways. On my Brodes media account, or your positive takeaways, I should say, I had to put out the player of the game. Even though they lost, I have a Brodes media player of the game, and I'm picking between Furkan Korkmaz and Tyrese Maxey. It's crazy to think it was even a close game and a close ending with that being the circumstance. Tobias Harris sure did have a really horrible day. 8 of 24. A lot of self-inflicting wounds, in my opinion. A lot of dribbling, a lot of overthinking. Everything we've seen out of Tobias Harris in the past, I think, showed its ugly head. You saw more of that where he looked uncomfortable. I saw Doc Rivers call a timeout at one point because he didn't love a certain possession where you basically could have had any mismatch that you wanted to, and they rely on a Tobias Harris situation that probably wasn't the strong in it. And it's like, yo, dude, what's going on here, fellas? We got to be sharper than this. They did not attack the mismatch the way that I thought they should have in that possession, and ultimately Doc Rivers thought the same thing. It's just funny because Hachimura ended up having a big bucket here. He is celebrating as if he was an ass all playoff series long. How about Lopez? At one point, he's 7 of 8 with 14 points, and that hook shot's the ugliest piece of shit I've ever seen in my life, yet he's knocking it down. Well, there's no arc on it. There's no air. It's a line drive, and it finds the back of the iron in such an ugly way, unorthodox. His legs are all weird. I don't know what the hell is going on with that Brook Lopez, or Robin Lopez. What did I say? Brook Lopez? Robin Lopez, and that hook shot. It's just laughable. He had it going on, though. I didn't realize that Robin Lopez was going to be that much of an intimidating force. The Wizards tried something new again in this game with Gafford, throwing Gafford into the starting lineup instead of Alex Len. Another desperation move. It was a different look. It was a different style. Desperation is what it shows. Before the game started, I looked at it as somewhat of a telling point. If I'm the Sixers and I see what they did to try and spark something new, they're basically admitting, fellas, we don't have anything for you. We are on our last resort. We're trying anything. We're throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. So that could have been that moment if I'm a Sixers player in that locker room, somewhat like, all right, guys. And I like that Dwight Howard mentioned that you got to pretend this is Game 7 because they are playing in their Game 7. It's win or go home, so you need that attitude because you have to match their intensity on the floor. And I know it's a lot easier said than done. I like that attitude heading into things. When you lose Joel, though, and you're picking up all these fouls and you can't play with some of them, you got to go to your bench super early. Ben has 3. You got to go to your bench. And then Ben picks up his 4th with, 12 seconds into that third quarter, into that second half, which caused a lot more drama. It changes the way that maybe you want to utilize Ben Simmons. You had to throw Mike Scott out there to play center. Did that change the philosophy of maybe trying Ben Simmons at the 5? Because that's an area where you got to contest a lot of shots. You got to be in the paint. Well, did you maybe go to another card instead of playing that hand because Ben could have found himself into deeper foul trouble earlier? You know, it's bonkers to think about how it all played out. How many shots got blocked, too, by the Sixers? Just poor shot selection, if that's the case, because it's crazy. Doc did touch on that postgame. How many times at the rim, at the glass, are they just getting destroyed and annihilated? It was somewhat baffling. Really? We're getting beat on the glass that many times? We got to be better than this, fellas. Now, am I mad that they lost the game? I'm not mad that they lost. It's hard, even with the team that is the worst team in the NBA, it's hard to win 4 straight basketball games, especially when the attitude and swagger somewhat reaches a different level because it's not game 23 of a regular season where you're on the road and it's your 7th day on the road in a row and there's so many variables into why someone might have a stinker in the regular season matchup. You're playing 4 playoff games in a row. It's hard. It's hard to beat any team 4 straight times. There's a reason why the Boston Celtics won a game. There's just reasons why bad teams end up winning. The Utah Jazz lost the first game to the Memphis Grizzlies. Things like this happen all the time. You don't win 4 straight games. It's a tough task. So there's a reason why entering this series, I mentioned probably a 5-game series because it's really hard to blow away any team, a horrendous basketball team that has no identity. It's hard to beat them 4 straight games. So a team that stinks but is in the playoffs and won 15 of their last 20, and they made some noise late, and they had Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. They're due for one, and they got their one at home. All right, go home and finish it. And I get it's kind of weird right now because Joel Embiid is the reason why you're going places and somewhat left up in the air. Is there any concern that it took so long to get information? I saw a lot of people freaking out. If it's taking this long, it's no good. Sort of like if you're watching a replay and you realize the referees, whether it's the NHL and they're calling Toronto or it's the MLB, they got their headsets on and they're waiting to find out more information. When it takes a long period of time, you think worst case scenario, it's probably not getting overturned. If you are a team waiting for it to get overturned, right? If you're the other side, you're probably excited it's taking that long. But with Joel Embiid, when you're waiting so long and it's like, hey, what do you got on the big man? In case you didn't know, everybody's waiting to see what's going on. In case you had no idea, people can't sit straight right now and everyone's freaking out. Does it scare you that it took so long? Not really. I just, after watching it and watching him get up, it just seems like he's a little banged up. I just don't see it being anything more serious than being bruised, being sore, things of that nature. So we'll see. I mean, we did see a bone bruise keep him out for a while, as bone bruises are brutal. Is it to that level? If so, I'd be shocked and upset, but I'm just basing it off a gut feel right now, and obviously I don't know the information off the top of my head. If I did, I'd be a millionaire. I can't believe it was that close of a game, though. When Danny Green hits that corner three right before half, it was almost stunning. What? The Sixers are up 1? How? In what world? I'm also watching morons, not to get too sidetracked, but I'm watching morons try and run onto the court. What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with these morons that go to sporting events? It's a joke. From throwing water bottles to dumping popcorn to spitting on Trae Young to running on the court here. When we watched the Phillies game a few weeks back, we had 2 people do it in one game. You guys are all embarrassing. And if you're someone who cheers for them and you think it's funny and you think it's all nonsense, it's like, this is all great. You're the problem too. You seriously are. Shame on this one. And what bothers me the most is I'm not surprised by it. We are in a world now with society where I'm not surprised that idiots think that that's funny and idiots want to do it more. After a year off, you'd think you'd appreciate what we have here, but no. And I know running on the field has been a part of sports forever, but the people who egg them on and all, I mean, it's a joke. It's embarrassing. It really is. I feel sorry for each and every one of you that think it's funny. Oh, it's just popcorn. Oh, we stomped on the logo. Shut up. How about that? Shut up. Let's go to the Anytime Hotline and take your calls. First, DraftKings Sportsbook is not only my favorite sportsbook, but also America's top-rated sportsbook. I love using DraftKings Sportsbook. It is easy to navigate, has plenty of instructions for new bettors, and nearly limitless ways to get in on all the action. My friends and family have been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too. Listen to this great offer. DraftKings Sportsbook is putting you courtside with the chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on any basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do, you will claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code Brodes for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's check out your thoughts after the game. Here we go, the Anytime Hotline.
What a loss. I mean, I know everybody said Sixers in 5, and I said it myself, but man, does this one loss just suck so much. Obviously, with Embiid being hurt, that is so much less than ideal. But just so many things wrong with this game. I mean, it's obvious that so many of those ref calls were just stupid. And, I mean, for the love of God, Russ tackled Ben. It felt like the reason he didn't get a flagrant call for that boggles my mind. But, I mean, the fact that Ben kept going to the line anyways because they're playing hack-a-shack with him because he made, 3 for 16 so far in the series. Some of the rotation I felt was off, but whatever. I hope it's a better game.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I don't think that this changes the series. I don't think the Sixers now lose all of a sudden. They're still going to handle business, but it is really irritating. Now, with the referees, I know that's the hot topic, and everyone's freaking out, as they should, because there were a lot of trash situations played out tonight. I asked this question, though. Did the Sixers truly lose because of the referees? Didn't they have a lot of chances to win? Now, they were in foul trouble because of the referees. Some were actual foul calls. Not every single foul. Every single foul was on the refs. No, not every single one. Some were some legitimate fouls out there. There were situations where the refs maybe put the Sixers in a worse spot, but ultimately, the Sixers had tied action later on. The Sixers were super close to closing this out, and they could have. The refs did not hold them back from hitting free throws. Hitting free throws would have won this basketball game, or at least put them in a closer spot to do it, and they failed miserably in that area. So they had plenty of chances without it. I don't look at the refs. They were bad. They were awful. They were trash. The Sixers did not lose this basketball game because of those trash calls. They had bad possessions offensively. They looked very super clunky. Clunky. I guess that pretty much describes that word in its entirety. They were clunky offensively. I almost did it again. Joel Embiid was lost. Tobias Harris had an off night. Seth Curry missed his shots. I look at that more than I do, well, the refs held the Wizards in there. And the Wizards, truly, as much as, because I was thinking, the Sixers are going to win this game. The Wizards are going to piss this away. Somehow, some way, they're not going to hold on. And I was already planning out how, as great as that would be for young players like Maxey, who's pretty much saying, hey, Shake, sit down, bud. These are my minutes. And Furkan saying, hey, Shake, thanks for more minutes. Because it's tough. Good for Furkan. I've been hard on him all year. You know that. Furkan steps in, essentially being out of the rotation, being such a small player and knocking big shots down for you. Good for him. To look at that, if you're the Wizards, to allow those two players to splash in some shots and snag away a victory in Game 4, if that was to happen to get swept, that would be a colossal failure on the Wizards' part, too. As much as I wanted to give the Sixers credit for the epic comeback, and they would have gotten it, they would have received that, there's also another side, and that's what the hell was going on with that Wizards team.
I tried leaving a message before, but I dropped the signal and the call got dropped. Anyway, like I was saying, it's a shame that these guys couldn't put together the series tonight, but that's not an easy thing to do. I don't remember the last time I seen Tobias Harris playing so inconsistently. And you could see after he missed a few of those simple layups that he just had no confidence. His confidence just went down the drain. Every time he got the ball, he would either hesitate or he would just drive the lane when he should have passed it out. So, but it was good to see Maxey feeling himself out there. Maxey did his thing. And I just hope Joel's okay, bro. I'm not worried. I know we'll pull shit together and we'll make things happen in the next game. So I'm not worried, but I just hope Embiid's okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you perfectly said. Now, Tobias did have a really off night. I don't anticipate this being a common theme for Tobias Harris. He's struggled, but more times than not this season, he has shown up. And I think that he's got the attitude and the swag right now where things do go wrong, and maybe he's not his sharpest. He looks himself in the mirror, he adjusts, and he comes out guns a-blazing. And with the home crowd being involved, the Wells Fargo Center going to be more electric than it already was in previous games because now it's even getting better. Well, I think the home crowd can definitely pump him up, and he makes the first couple shots, and from there, his energy is back, and his rhythm is going again. Shame on me. I think, at least, I've been talking for 27 minutes, so excuse me if I'm wrong here, but I think I failed to mention George Hill to this point. I thought George Hill had some big buckets and made some big threes and was crucial, not sexy, not something that pops, not something that's amazing. And there were some, I can't believe Daryl Morey only got George Hill. No, George Hill matters here. George Hill is going to have a significant role. It's not going to be the flashiest thing you ever see, but it's going to be very meaningful. It's going to be very important. And I thought George Hill had such a big piece of the pie here when you think about that late comeback and that stretch where the Sixers were putting up their best fight. He had you involved earlier. He had you involved in crucial moments, and he pretty much has been since the playoffs have started. He's been everything that I thought the George Hill experience would be, and you're seeing how important that is. And guess what? I think you're going to see more of him in late game moments in the fourth quarter. You know, it's funny. It's crazy that this happened today because I was on 97.5 The Fanatic before this game. I hosted 3 to 5, and we were talking about what was going to happen if Doc Rivers saw a night where Ben Simmons was not making his free throws. Is he going to wait before it happens, or is he going to wait for it to happen first and then make that move? What if it happens once? Is he going to have to wait a second time before he makes a move in late game situations? Is he just going to throw George Hill out there anyway before it happens? Well, it's just ironic that I bring that up today, and now the first time it truly happened, it occurred, and it seems like Doc Rivers said, what, do you want me to take Ben? I can't take Ben off the floor. Okay. You might have to. Nobody wants to. No one wants to. If anyone had the option, it would be he made his free throws, and he stays out there. We know how important it is. That's why it's frustrating. We know how important it is to have him out on the floor. That's why the deficiencies get criticized as much as they do, Doc.
One of these games tonight when Embiid got hurt, the Sixers just always seemed to be climbing uphill, and they could just never get over the top of the mountain. 2 things I got to say, really 3 real quick. Number 1, this officiating crew should never be allowed to work another postseason game in the NBA. Any team series. Absolutely atrocious. Number 2, I told you, Hunter, after game 1 that Ben Simmons' inability to hit free throws was going to come back to haunt this team, and tonight it did. Simmons is going to get plenty of practice because teams are going to continue to emulate the strategy of the Wizards. Third, I was in the chat tonight, a lot of Wizards fans talking smack. Don't ask me why. You're in for a 35-point beatdown the next game, whether Embiid plays or not. Sixers wrap this up in Philly, and it won't even be close.
That's awesome, hanging out with the Wizards chat. All right, so a few things on the first 2 points with the refs. No one's denying that was just an embarrassment, right? I guess here's my counter. Welcome to the NBA. And to act as if we're not going to see bad officiating again, well, that would be naive. It's going to happen, so you're going to have to battle through it. And I know that's not the sexy answer, and the real answer is the league should fix it because they're hiring people who are bad at their jobs, and they're not accomplishing the goal, which is refereeing the basketball game to its to your best of your ability. There's going to be bad calls here and there, but when it's to this level, yes. But welcome to the NBA. We talk about this all the time. Every game, for the most part, 75% of the games in the NBA, people bitch and complain about how brutal it was, and deservingly so. There's plenty of times where it does matter, and it's a part of it. But because it happens so often, I guess at this point, it's an uncontrollable. What are you going to do? What are you going to do if you're the Sixers? Are you going to send a petition to the league? Are you going to change the referees? Because that's not going to happen. That's not going to change anything. So you're right. They shouldn't officiate again, but they're going to. And because they're going to, it's not something that you can maneuver around. So you have to play through it. And how do you play through it? You cash in late because you had chances to cash in late. Number 2, Ben, I'm with you. Somehow I'm labeled a Ben Simmons hater and a despiser because of bringing up that same very issue after game 1, which couldn't be any more from the truth. Ben Simmons is politics. You have your conservatives, you have your liberals, you have your Democrats, you have your Republicans. Good luck ever having a conversation between those 2 people. It's the Ben Simmons thing. You have your lovers, you have your haters that can't see the middle ground. If one person says one good thing, the haters say that he stinks everywhere. If the hater says he stinks everywhere, the lover says another thing. It's just a mess. Let's take off the Sixers glasses here and recognize that he's elite. He's got an elite skill set. He has an elite skill set. Let me rephrase. He has an elite skill set, but he's not a perfect product, and he's got a lot to figure out here. Because playoffs are a different beast. And I bet you every other team, the Bucks licking their chops after what they just saw. The Brooklyn Nets licking their chops after what they just saw. Because in the playoffs, games are closer. Maybe not so much this series, but as you move on, games are closer. You're playing better talent. and you're playing better players, and you're playing better coaches. Everyone talks about Scotty Brooks sucks. Scotty Brooks just helped win this basketball game because of that decision. So what will a good coach do with good talent? It's a problem. It's a problem. And it's okay to admit it's a problem. Hopefully Ben Simmons grows from this, though. That's the major thing. Will he grow as a player? It's been 3 years. It's only intensifying, and we're getting the same thing here in year 4, if you will. Now he's getting another run at it with the playoffs. Here we go. Before we head out of here, Orbit Energy and Power are home to your solar experts. If you're looking to get solar energy systems, backup energy services, tree removals, electrical upgrades, water purification systems, Orbit Energy and Power is the place to go. They're located in Mantua, New Jersey. They do work in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Florida. 800-836-3987 or orbitenergy.us is their website. They're best in class. They do outstanding work. They are home to your solar experts. Make sure you give them a call today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.